You ready? You ready? 3
Yeah,
or
all
2?
good.
Maybe 1. I don't know. Hey, how about now? Hey, Luke, it's me and you. We're back again.
Hey Ross, we are indeed back. Yes, what are we back doing?
I think talking about board games, probably unsurprisingly.
Sounds about right.
So we're continuing our top 50 for top of the box, and we are on 40 to 31. So if you haven't seen the previous video, go check that out. We covered off, what did we cover off? Quite a lot of crossover on our games. So you had obviously Isle of Cats, I had Flamecraft, Adventures of Robin Hood. So it's a whole bunch of stuff. I don't want to spoil it. Go watch it, basically. And then once you watch that, come back here.
Come back here, because those games were the 50 to 41.
Yeah.
These are the 40 to 31. These are better.
Significantly better. Some would say between 1 and 10 better.
Yeah.
Somewhere on that scale.
I could say you could stretch even further. It's between 1 and 20 better.
True. This is true.
So.
Anyway,
Let's see.
Hey, we didn't really decide.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first? Shall I go first? Are you itching to talk about your game, or?
You know what? Let's talk about the first games. Let's get into number 40.
Sure.
So my number 40 was Ross has turned on the sun behind him, apparently.
It's
It's a game that's
because I'm
probably
angelic, just to clarify, and I need the halo.
The game has nothing to do with love, although it is godly, sort of, in a sense that, it's combat for the benefit of the gods and for the people that you are serving for it. It's the game that has been featured the most on this channel, in as much as it's appeared in the most videos. And it's not D&D, it is Strike, the dice-chucking gladiator game, which is used for the brief overlay whenever you see a die rolling across the screen, because that's what I use the arena for. In Strike, you are basically taking dice and chucking them into arena. Another push your luck game, which is apparently something that I am very into.
You really like it.
It's, what can I say? It probably helps that I am lucky.
Yes, it
I get good dice luck.
Also, I was so thrown off when you said it was the game that had appeared the most on the channel. I'm like, what games appeared that frequently? And of course, you're like sort of cheating because it's the cut almost. Can you do a cut for the next game, but you have to be rolling like 39 worth of dice, basically?
Oh God! Don't put that pressure on me.
No. Yeah, it's a lot of rolls.
I'm just going to keep to what I'm doing and just roll the 39 that pops up.
Yeah.
Because that's how it's going to happen. But anyway, in Strike, you are taking the dice. You're just the gladiator dice. You're just going to throw them into the arena. You're waiting to try and get sets of dice that are matching the same number. You can bounce the dice off each other and off the arena. As long as they stay in, it's fine. If you ever empty the arena out completely, then your opponents have to throw their next set of dice. They have to throw all their dice in to the arena at once. And ultimately, it's the last person standing. You want to make sure that those gladiators stay fit and healthy. You can push your luck as much as you want.
Yes.
I just like it. It's a game it's a great filler. It has no right to be as fun as it is, but I could quite easily get lost down. Like, we've just played Tapestry and Twilight Imperium back to back. We need a break. Let's just play Strike for half an hour, and then we can reset, and then we can start thinking about playing our next heavy game.
Yeah,
that's what it is. That's what it is to me. It does pretty well, this Strike. But that's my number 40. What's yours, Ross?
Not dissimilar in a bit of a lighter game, and also not dissimilar in a mechanism that I'm particularly obsessed with as well. You have your push your luck. I have my roll and rights at the moment. So I'm talking about Railroad Inc. So now I've specifically put the blue version because that was the one which I happened to play. But to be honest, just Railroad Inc.'s pretty good. Also, another game I don't own, bizarrely enough. One I played loads.
I do. I've got red.
And I don't think we've played it actually physically.
No.
I think I've only ever played it digitally, I think. Which is kind of crazy.
I'll have to get it out next time you come over.
Great for an app, though. Really, really good for an app. And again, it was like a 2-week, 3-week stint where I was playing that like daily. Roll some dice, tracks or roads come up. Draw that on your score pad essentially, and try to make the most links to score some points. Essentially, the most efficient railroad. So yeah, just again quite a light game, and I think, I don't know, 4 months ago would have been probably much higher on my list, but I just don't play as much because other things have kind of taken that slot a little bit.
That's fair.
That's
It's a good one. I like Red Alert Inc.
Yeah,
Good game.
yeah.
It's a good little filler, good light one. Just good one to pass the time. A lot of expansions, I think, and that helps us a lot.
Yes.
So you get that variety in place. Cool. Well, that's number 30. That's number 40. Now we want to talk about 39.
So, 39. And coming in hot off the back of the last one.
Sure.
Not really. It's not really. I'm making it sound like it's going to be like a thrilling game, but it is a good game, but it's not going to break. Canvas is my next game on my list.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I think it's a bit of a stealth game, you know. So you're trying to make the prettiest picture. You've got these like clear cards with some really nice artwork on it. You're stacking them on top of this, like a normal playing card, essentially, to make one lovely picture. Trying to score some points based on some objectives, and I think it's deceptively challenging, and maybe a bit underrated. I would even go as far as to say I don't think it really gets as much mentioning as a better use of that clear card, I think, than like Gloom, for example.
Yes,
it's a really good use of that mechanism. You feel like you're poised to say something, Luke. So what are your thoughts?
I feel like I need to play Canvas again because it's been a while. I played it once, and it was that time I came to a barbecue with your house, and that was shortly after Arthur was born.
Yep.
That was like, he was at that time like 4 or 5 months, I think.
And you're playing with Connor as well. And
why do we play with Connor?
It's rare.
Connor. Daryl. Well, we managed to convince him to play a game, so
Yes.
it's sat on my shelf. I do need to play it. I do need to get it out. I think it's the sort of thing Laura would quite enjoy.
Yes.
There's a lot of variety that's chucked in that, and I do like the odd names you can get from your pictures as you just sort of slot those in. You get some really weird combinations.
I mean, it's probably going to take too long for this segment and for us to be talking about it, but I could probably hunt through my phone and find times when I've taken photos of the outcomes, because it is always good to see. I'm going to try hunt. I'm saying I'm not going to look for it. Literally, didn't take me that long. Look, there you go. See if you can see that. So what's that?
I can't read that.
Melancholy anxiety is that one. So it's it's a good one. In fact, we've got some we've got illuminated beauty. We've got extreme curiosity. I can't see the rest of them. It's too blurry because I've made this photo way too artistic for its needs. But yeah, so it's just really I like taking. It's a game where you can show it to someone who's not a gamer and be like, "Look how pretty this game is," as well, and get them on board with it.
I'm sure Editor Me is flipping you off right now as we put those pictures in post and just going, why?
I'll send them to you.
Hey, that's what happens. Yeah, why not? Future me will sort it out.
Yeah, exactly that.
Probably.
What you got?
Well, mine is a game that you introduced me to.
Okay.
You introduced it to me at the same time as you introduced me to the world of board game cafes.
Okay.
And this was a birthday treat for me that you took me down to Oxford to play Lords of Waterdeep.
Yeah.
A good, classic worker placement game. I think it's probably the entry level for worker placement games that I would introduce to people now, because it's so straightforward.
Yes.
And it's such a great template for all other worker placement games. Take worker, you put it out there. But with the people that we tend to play with, you've got that connection of theme in there. You've got Dungeons and Dragons aspects. You've got the quests that are clear to do. Like, you have the contract fulfillment aspect of it, filling in those quests. It's very clear exactly what you need to get. This is your rewards. This is what you're going to get for it. I do think that the base game can get stale. Yeah. But I do tend to play with it now with the Skullport expansion.
Yeah.
The exact name of it. I'll flash that up. That expansion gets chucked in with it because it adds a little bit of extra depth, which is not I won't say lacking, but it just gives it a little bit of a refresh. And I went on a stint for a while, sort of in the middle of the lockdown period, where I was playing it daily on the app with someone, and it was just constantly going. This is before I worked out that BGA existed.
Yeah.
Because that was a thing. But just played loads and loads of games with it, and really, really enjoyed it. It's just such a nice, low stress game.
Yes.
That you can add levels of stress in by just putting workers in the place that you know is going to annoy someone, because you can see what they want. You can just, I'm just going to
make that life a little bit harder. Yeah.
Doesn't need to have that in there. You don't have to be that mean with it, but I think it's a good one.
Yeah,
so,
it's really good. In fact, it's one I sort of forget about almost, and it's probably a bit mean to just forget about it. But yeah, I don't think if you said to me like, really randomly name like 100 games, I don't think that would ever really come into the thought process when I'm trying to do that task.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like 10 worker placement games.
Yeah.
There are other worker placement games that are better than Lords of Waterdeep. Obviously, it's number 39 on my list anyway. Doesn't even exist in Ross's top 50.
It doesn't.
But
spoilers, but it doesn't.
It's got such a solid base. I think it does.
Yeah.
It's compared a lot with Champions of Midgard.
Yep.
Which does a lot of the similar things, but it has a little Amerithrash thrown in there for sort of the combat system. And my voice is fading as I say this sentence, so who knows if I'm going to make it to the end of the video.
We'll find out.
If I get replaced by Laura at the end of this, then you know that I've
just to really confuse it as well. It's actually Laura's top 50 as well, just to like really throw it off. Yeah.
Laura's ventriloquism has got an exit. She's just sat just off screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
nice.
it does a lot. I think it's a really good entry level game. It's up there with like Stone Age as an entry level, but the Stone Age has a little bit more depth to it. Well, that's because you're terrible at it.
I tell you, actually, it was trying to play it without learning the rules, because we played it on reference to BGA again. We played it on BGA, and I didn't learn the rules, and I'm like, I'm just going to figure this out, and then like balls like 3 turns in a row
immediately,
and then I was like, okay, I hate this game now, but actually I hate the fact that I didn't learn the rules properly, but it's stuck with me. Anyway, we're not talking about that game, so we can move on.
So my number 38 is something that you introduced me to.
It's becoming
a theme. Then I've gone and found more of it.
Okay.
It's a re-implementation of sorts of a classic dice game. And there's a little bit of push your luck in there. Just I'm saying, I'm like, yeah, there's a little bit of push your luck in there. Oh well, it is Dice Throne.
Oh, I can see. Well, I was going to, not only was I going to guess, but also we need to go back through and see how many of your top 50 are. In fact, this is the like kind of data geek in me, like starting to talk a little bit, but like how frequent certain mechanics are in our top 50, and actually whether our perception of the fact that you like push your luck and the perception that I like roll rights is true or not.
I'll tell you what, that could probably, if that's something that interests you, let us know. We could do a analysis of our top 50 and see what sort of things break down, because that would be kind of interesting. Maybe.
Anyways.
Well, I mean, to some of us anyway. We'll see what it is. But anyway, Dice Throne. So Dice Throne is sort of a Yahtzee style battler where you are just basically chucking dice and trying to pull off some awesome combos and trying to get different options to play off as you're trying to defeat each other. There's all sorts of different sets available to you, including now Marvel has entered the arena, which is personally quite interesting. And there's just a lot of different variety. There's lots of different levels that you can build up from it and just try different combinations. And I personally am quite happy with the one that I got. I've got the Season 1 Reroll Battle Box, which I got as a... So, the story on this is that I went to AirCon in March of this year, and we went to the raffle, and as I was sort of coming away from the table, having bought my tickets, I found one had been dropped on the floor, and I thought, oh, well, I'll just pick that up, and I'll just hold on to it and see what happens with it. And of course, when the buckets were drawn, that ticket won. So I rather sheepishly went, well, okay, I guess I've won this one, and wandered over to the table, knowing full well that someone was going to come up to me with the rest of the strip of raffle tickets and say, that's my ticket, assuming they hadn't just left. So a nice lady came over and said, "I'm sorry, that was my ticket. I obviously dropped it. I've got the rest of the strip." I said, "Yep, that's absolutely fine. Not a worry. If there's anything you don't want on here, let me know. I'll take it off your hands. It's fine." She said, "Oh, please to take something." I was like, "I will take." I had the choice of that or Frosthaven, and quite frankly, that was easier to carry around for the rest of the evening. So I just went, I'll take this, thank you very much, and wandered off with it. So yeah, and we've played it a few times. We've played through with different characters. I've tried the Marvel version, which I quite enjoy. There's just some nice combinations to put in there, and I am a bit of a sucker for a game that has interacting expansions. We talked a little bit about this with Villainous. Last time, that there's those interacting expansions that can stand alone but are part of the whole. I'm just a bit of a sucker for it. I just really like it. I know you're not as hot on it.
I'm not.
You wanted to like it a lot more.
I really wanted to like it.
I think I've said this before to you. I think your issue is that you have started with the two easiest heroes.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
And if you tried some of the, I don't say easiest as in they are the ones that are listed on the game system as the easiest to play. Yeah, if you go for, which is, to be fair, it's fair for the people that you would play that game with.
Yeah.
To sort of get that used to that system. I think if you tried some of the harder ones, you might like it more. You'll see there's more strategy to it than just getting a straight.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, because that's how it feels to me, right? I'll play that game and I'll just be like, well, if I get my only objective here is to get a straight because that's the only way to win. And it can't be true because they would, I mean, people have sold more games or less, but I'd be surprised if that was it. Yeah, it's really I'm not disappointed about the game. I'm disappointed about my feelings about it, to be honest. Like because I really want to get into it, and it's not a bad game. I don't mind playing it, but I don't love it as much as I wanted to love it, and that kind of bums me out.
Sure.
So, yeah. In fact,
well, let's talk about a game that you do love. Let's talk about number 38 on your list.
Yeah, I mean,
although if you didn't have more to say about Dice Throne,
no, that's fine. But also, we're saying. I was actually going to say not for future calling, basically not 38 but 37 is another game where I wanted to love it more but didn't quite. But anyway, parking that just thought process because that's just something
I'll get there in a minute.
38 Verdant is on my list at 38.
Oh, okay.
So I thought this would actually be much lower or higher. It'd be more like the 50s or above, basically, for this, because I quite like...
It'd be lower in the ranking.
Yes, lower in the ranking, because I kind of... there's less game than I usually would have, right? And I didn't play it a lot to start with, and so I was a bit like, hit and miss. But I played it a couple more times recently, and I think and we've talked about this before as well, I'm getting more into my puzzle sort of solving games a little bit, and there is... It's just nice. It's just nice. I don't know what else to say, really. It's just nice. I sit down, a couple of people, definitely people who can get behind the plant. I'll stop moving my hand because it's freaking the camera out and making it refocus every time. But I speak with my hands. I can't help myself. Play with non-board gamers or light board gamers, people who like the plant theme, and then they get to enjoy the plant theme and just put nice plants down and kind of play with the puzzle, and I get to have the crunchy puzzle behind it of trying to perfect the placement of plants and rooms. As I realise I haven't really described what this game's about. You're placing plants and rooms.
I was about to go into this is what the game is.
So yeah, you're placing plants and rooms. You're trying to match the room with the plant type, and you've got to match some colours as well as the type of plant and the light conditions, and then items within those rooms. So there's a couple of it's a bit like a slot machine almost, right? You've got like 3 or so different things which are moving, and you're just trying to align them continuously as you're building out a puzzle. That's a very weird analogy I've gone for there, but I'm sticking to it, and I'm done. That's my 38.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would have thought Calico would have been the highest of those three, of Verdant, Cascadia, and Calico.
I can't remember where.
I would not have. Your Calico was your honourable mention.
Yeah, Calico was. I just started scrolling down. Calico is my honourable mention, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't know where Cascadia is on your list, but
I think I've played more Calico again since I made the list. I think Calico might have swapped. I don't know. They're all just sort of floating around in that top. I'm talking about hands again. In that top sort of
I mean, that's the
40,
thing with these lists.
60.
It's a snapshot in the time that you do this list, and you redid this list sort of like a week before we did the first one. It's been like 3 weeks since we sat down and did this.
And I think, spoiler,
So-
I don't think Cascadia is on anywhere near the top. So
No,
I
that's fair.
don't think
You
I've
haven't
played
played
it
it as
enough.
much, though, have you?
Yeah, exactly. I think I've only played it like twice,
Yeah.
maybe. So yeah.
But the only one that's got an expansion coming out, so
Mm.
who knows? Anyway, that's our 38. Let's go to what Ross wanted to love more,
Yes.
but is at 37 instead.
Yes. And that is Hamlet.
Okay.
So this was definitely like a FOMO or a little bit of the hype thing. So I realize my camera's not quite in focus, so I'm going to just do this for everyone so they don't feel like they're going, losing their eyesight.
There.
And yeah, so it was a game which I was kind of fell into a little bit of the FOMO or the hype around. I was like, oh, this looks like a really pretty game. I'm going to do this like a village building game. You're placing tiles down basically out of a bag, and then you're generating resources, and you're moving the resources around, and all this good stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this looks really pretty. This is right up my street. And then I played it, and I'm like, it's not really about. As I'm waiting for my camera to focus again, it's being a fucking pain in the ass. Luke can edit all of this out any second now. It's gonna.
I'm going to leave this in. It's just gripping television.
Okay, that's it. Done it. Right. So just got to shut my camera now and then. But when I actually then sat down and played it, now I played a shorter version of the game at Games Expo shortly during the Kickstarter campaign. So I'd already got a taster for it. So I knew I did kind of like it. But then when I played when I got the full game, I kind of realised it's not really about building the village. It's not really. No. It's about like the resource generation and management. And I think the first time I played it as well, I was kind of bummed out because I fell in this trap where I was producing a premium of this resource, thinking I'm going to score loads of points, people are going to use it. And then none of the corresponding tiles came out of the bag because the bag generation. My biggest drawback about this game is the randomization from the bag, because you cannot build a strategy off that. And maybe I'm misunderstanding or playing it wrong, or missed a trick or strategy. But a couple of times I've played it, it's been the kind of towards the end of the game basically. So.
Sure.
Yes,
but it's still 37.
It's still 37,
so...
and I think we talked about this before, where I think I've been much more optimistic with my list, and so I think that's feeding into it. It's like I really want to like this, so it's creeping up because I think in comparison to other games, I want to like it, I want to play it, and I want to enjoy it. But yeah, so it's sort of sitting around there. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I played it once with you. I thought it was okay. Personally, it didn't really do it for me, but that's fine. Not every game is going to be everyone's taste, as you found. But yeah, it's a nice little thing. Although the cardboard.
That as well, because
that didn't work out for you.
I don't want to make this like a Hamlet bashing session, so I'm going to cut this very short. But it was like a selling point, really, wasn't it? That you get a 3D church, and then it arrives, and you have to make it. And I don't mind making stuff. Like, I've just literally been doing like the inserts for Twilight Imperium, which I've got like a billion boxes behind me, I just realised. But you do that and it's like sticky back, like double-sided sticky tape, and it just doesn't stay, and it was a bit. It would have been nicer wood. It would have been much nicer wood. If you're going to do something like that, do it properly. Yes, it's kind of a thing. Anyway, done.
It's not a bad game. It just doesn't live up to your personal expectations, which is fine. The games do that. You still enjoy it. It's still 37, so there's that.
Yeah.
My 37 is a game that I quite enjoyed previous editions of. I like the aspect of it, even though it's not a theme I would normally gravitate towards.
Okay.
It's an interesting take on a hidden traitor game, almost, because you don't necessarily know who the traitor is until halfway through. And that is Betrayal of the House of the Hill, specifically the 3rd edition.
Yeah.
Now, this is a game I don't think you have played yet, Ross.
I have played it once, I think. Not with you, independently, I think.
No.
you're laying tile. I mean, I'm going to take it. I'm going to try to describe it, and you tell me if this is the game that you're talking about.
Go ahead, save my voice.
You lay tiles down for a house, a manor, essentially, and you're moving around that. And usually, you've got some sort of objective you're looking to do, and at the same time, something bad happens. There might be something like a ghost or something else, or someone might get possessed, or something else might happen. And then essentially, one of you is trying to stop the other players, as you say, about halfway through the game from doing their objective, whilst everyone else is trying to do their objective. And it's almost like an infinite sprawling manner that you're building out, essentially. Is that right?
For the most part. I mean, for the most part, you don't tend to know what the specific haunt is going to be until the combination of things comes up. So in the game, you're going around and you are triggering these different movement tiles. You're going around collecting items and doing stuff. It's all a cooperative game as you build out this manor to start off with, this house on the hill. And then when the haunt is triggered, it will relate to an item and a location. And depending on the versions you're playing on, the third edition changes this a little bit, but it does specify a location and an item, and it will say go to this page and this haunt, and this thing will happen. And the haunt is, the traitor is this person, either the person who triggered the haunt or the person with the highest intelligence, or something like that. But there's a whole host of different options in there. But what I like in the third edition is that they fix some of the issues of, if you don't want to be the traitor, there's a mechanism to pass it on to someone else. There's also a mechanism that you can set up one of like 9 different scenarios which there is no traitor, and it's just the house that's trying to kill you. In which case it takes it into a cooperative situation. So it gives you those different options for you to play the game depending on the styles of your group. Some groups will be perfectly happy with a 1v many or a all v all, like a free for all.
Yes.
Which does run the risk of player elimination. That's one of the things that I don't like about it, is there is player elimination. But with this set, you are able to build it out in such a way that you don't have to trigger that. And that just makes life a little nicer, a little easier. It's kind of fun to run around this house and just do it. And there's a lot of replayability thrown in, which I really enjoy in games. But particularly for me, I'm not a horror guy.
Yes.
So it will come out maybe twice a year, probably in October. And then I'll just go, oh, yeah, I quite like Betrayal of the House on the Hill.
It feels like you're...
There's something to be said for seasonal games.
Yeah, I was going to say, it feels like you're swinging around a little bit. I mean, this is probably just coincidence, but with Final Girl as well, maybe horror games and that sort of stuff are creeping more into your... I don't know.
I feel like the genre in board games, I think, probably fits. I don't get scared by what's going on.
Yeah. Yes.
But the way that the horror theme fits with the game, is quite substantial. I meant to give you Final Girl when you were here on Friday, so that you could take it and try it. And I forgot. So give it a go before we go to the UK Games Expo. We're going to be there. If this video comes out before it comes, well, at least I will be there all 3 days. Come say hi.
I'm there on the Friday, so
if this comes out in time, who knows? But yeah, the Van Riders, no, not Van Rider. But yeah, the Final Girl publishers are going to be there, so you can go and check out some of the stuff there. But anyway, that is our 37. Let's go to 36. So my number 36 is a little engine builder. It's a light little engine builder that you can just put out there, set in the Victorian times, back when we didn't know any better. It is Furnace from Arcane Wonders.
Yes.
Nice little engine builder where you've got different sets of cards that you can take the cards. You're bidding on those cards based on the the disc value that you put down onto it. Yes. And you're basically bidding to draw that into your engine. If you don't get it, you multiply what's on your disc by what's at the top of the card, and you get that as a little compensation event. So if there's something that you really want to go for, but you don't want to win it, there's almost that weird balance on it. Is that I don't necessarily want the engine part of that. I want those resources. So I'm just going to bid a 3 and hope that you want it more than I do, so you put your 4 on it, and then you either get stuck with it or you just get a load of resources. Which is really nice. And then you just build up this really nice, smooth engine that you can just sort of move around and go, okay, I'll do this, and I'll trigger this, and I'll trigger this, and I'll trigger this, and I'll get these resources that can do these, and get me money and get me points at the end of it. Yeah. But it's in that realm of light little engine builders that takes maybe 30 minutes to play.
Yes.
And it's just so straightforward. It doesn't need anything flashy on it. I do know there's an expansion that's just come out, Interbellum, I think, which I'm looking forward to seeing how that interacts with it. It gives it some new project cards and some new async powers that you can throw in. So yeah, I hope to give that a go at some point.
Yeah, I think I quite liked Furnace, and in fact maybe an expansion will do the trick for me a little bit, because I feel like I just wanted just a little bit more. I don't want to make it like really complex, but I just want there to be. I do like the bidding mechanism within it, really. But
yeah.
I just something a little bit more, and it might be like async powers. It might be something like that, like you've mentioned, just to give it a bit more variation. I think, or to tweak the strategy, because I feel like there might be something you can kind of perfect it over time a little bit. I guess maybe get a bit stuck around. I don't know. So yeah.
But I mean, it fits in that. It fits that niche of a small engine builder.
Yes.
That I like. That things like It's a Wonderful World, Splendor, just haven't done for me.
Yes.
And I don't know why. They just have not worked for me at all. Whereas Furnace, I'm perfectly happy with. I really enjoy it.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know what it is. But anyway, that's it. That's my number 36. What's yours?
My 36, and I always want to pronounce this incorrectly, and I think the correct way to pronounce it is Tilitum, not Tiltum, but Tilitum. And yes,
or Tilitum, as some say it.
Tilitum. So yes, I'm trying to. So this is so funny, right, Luke? Because
Ross.
I obviously did this list a little while ago, probably not long after we played it, and then I've gone, this is quite a good game, so this is going quite high on my list, and I've come around to it now, and we've not played it since, and I'm going, how did this game work? Now I remember there being some dice drafting, and depending on which the color of the dice, depending on like the type of like resource essentially that you get to use or leverage. Rescue me, basically.
So there is an element of that. So Tilitum has a interesting action economy system where you will be drafting dice from the wheel. Yeah. The value of the die inversely correlates to the amount of resources that you get, but it also refers to the number of action points you get to do that action. Yes, which I think is really interesting, because you can either use it to do an action 6 times, which is great, but you only get 1 coal, or you can do something else which gets you like 6 paper. That's probably not one of the resources, but you only get 1 to do the action, but you've got a lot of it, so you're ready for the next turn when you draft the next die, and you can spread out, you can explore. I really liked it as well. I think I did my list before we played that. It's on my wish list. It's a game I want to pick up, because I really enjoyed it despite how bad it looks.
I actually don't think
it is
looks that bad. I know you were a bit like, but I think, I mean, there's games which look. There's games like
there's games that are worse.
Spirit Island, which everyone raves about, and I basically think look like the official game looks like a bootleg copy that someone's done, where they've got components from about 6 different games and they pulled it all together. So when you compared like something like it to Spirit Island, in fact, just as a side note, that's why I never got along with that game. Not to be like shallow, but that game is hella ugly, and I will fight anyone in the comments about this, because it killed it for me. So I don't think it's that bad, but yeah, I do kind of get what you're saying there.
It's very beige, which I think is but I'm also getting to the stage of my gaming lifespan, I guess, where the aesthetics don't bother me so much. They help draw me in, but if there's a solid game underneath, I don't care what it looks like. Almost.
I think I've gone the other way a little bit. I'm at sort of, I don't know. Like, if I'm sitting down for like an hour even to play a game, I want it to be visually appealing, and I want it to have a nice theme, and I want all these other bits.
But Tilitum isn't that visually appealing. It's very beige. It's a lot of just brown.
Apart from the player components, which are like
the player components are
vibrant, which I think rescues it.
That does help, yeah. It does make it.
And the theme is
we probably do need to.
But
The theme is there.
Yeah.
It's probably the nicest thing we can say about it. But it is a good game. I do really enjoy it. I think it's one that we can.
Yes.
It'll probably be, I think Board and Dice have got a. Is it Board and Dice? Yeah, I think it is. I think it is a Board and Dice game. I think they're at the expo as well, so maybe we'll find it there. Who knows?
I can probably tell you in 2 seconds.
But
it is Board and Dice.
There you go. So yeah, we can. I'm on the lookout for it. It's on my wish list. I put it that way because I really enjoyed it as well.
Yep.
I thought it was a really good game.
Yep.
So yeah, there you go. All right, that's our 36. Let's go to 35.
So, 35.
Yes.
Islebound is my 35. Now,
Okay.
I really like this game. The reason why it's not higher on my list, and I feel like this is basically the opening sentence to every single one of my things, is I like this game, but it's not higher on my list because, which I guess is the reason, is replayability, to be honest with you, right? So we make jokes that I've got a book strat, essentially. Which means I just always want to go for books and then trade them in for victory points. So a little bit more about the game, so it doesn't just sound like you're playing in a library. You have
Islebound too. Yeah, when it says
Islebound.
Islebound,
bounding of the books. Yes,
it's a library thing.
Islebound.
It's a library thing.
No, you're on a ship. And you are traveling between different islands, and you're trading like wood or fish for, in my case, books, and then trading the books in, and that's all you have to care about the game. No, I'm just kidding. There's also like pirates and stuff, and you're trying to take control of towns.
You've lost that game more times than you've won it with that book strategy.
It's true, but I have fun with it. You can take over islands either through towns on the islands, either through diplomatic or military actions, and essentially it's kind of a plateau building because you're putting buildings down. Exploration. There's just a little bit. It's just a little bit of everything. I think that's why I really enjoy it. There's just a little bit of everything in there, but at the same time, I'm like.
Sure.
In fact, scrap everything I said before about the whole replayability thing. I think, just as I'm talking, there's a little bit of everything in there, which makes it a really good game, but it doesn't do one. If it just did one thing of those and less of the others, then better, maybe.
I can see that. Yeah, I can.
It's almost tried to be the perfect game. And by having a little bit of everything, and by doing that, you're only really, it's like you're getting a little taster of every single game like type you could ever play, basically. And you're like, hey, that's delicious, but I wish there was a whole meal here. Another analogy for you. Put it in the bag. Or something, I don't know.
It's a taster play.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of amuse-bouches that are put in front of you as a sample meal.
Yes.
Which is fair enough. I think there is enough replayability in that game because obviously all the cards are in different orders, the workers are in different orders.
I think
the map is rebuildable.
Yes, yeah. I think that's why I flipped it because I've gone. It's not the replayability; it's the And maybe it's just because I'm obsessed with collecting books and trading them in for victory points. Maybe that's my problem.
Yeah, try a different strategy, Ross. Try a winning strategy.
I will not. I will never do that. Books for life.
Fair enough. Well, my game at 35 is one that fits in with the sort of Lords of Waterdeep in that the theme has brought me into it, and then it's just a silly little fella that doesn't take itself too seriously. It does have player elimination, which I don't like, but it's a quick enough game that it almost doesn't matter, and that is Dungeon Mayhem. It's the nice little card game. You're taking on either a character in D&D, or you're taking on one of the monsters if you have the Monsters of Mayhem expansion. Monsters of Madness expansion, I think. Where you're basically just playing those characters, and you've got a bunch of different cards that you can do on your turn. You draw a card, you play a card. You do whatever's on the card. You either heal, you draw cards, you do extra actions, you do attacks. You're targeting each other, and it's just silly nonsense. Especially if you play it like I do with a bunch of D&D players, and you start playing as the Mind Flayer, who is a psychiatrist. Yeah. And for whatever reason, the psychiatrist is always German.
Yes.
Because of course he is. So the psychiatrist is just every action is done with a German accent, and it is going to take care of this problem for you.
Well, I think
And it's just how we play the game.
That's-
It's good. It's good fun.
Yeah.
It's light. It's easy. It's just a straightforward, good little filler. Doesn't take itself too seriously. There's a bunch of different options in there. It's just fun.
so. This is a
It's just fun.
game I've played after a night out. Weirdly, I can't remember where we were. We went out for a night out, and so that was, I think, probably in a similar thing. That was a little bit because the people I played with, obviously, it wasn't my copy, so someone who is a board gamer, but a couple of people
Yeah.
aren't really board gamers, but they'd had a couple of drinks, so I think they were kind of getting on, bit like you say, getting on a little bit more on board with the role play, I guess,
The
a little bit
nonsense
behind it,
of
a little
it,
bit nonsense
yeah.
of it behind it. So yeah, it's a really good, like I say, it's a really, really good filler game. It hits the sweet spot.
Well, now we're into 34s. Ross jumped that on me. This is a game that sparked the love of a particular mechanism. We're going to see if you can work out what this
Is it
or
push
isn't.
push your luck game?
It is not push your luck. What other mechanisms do I really enjoy?
What other mechanisms do you?
Mechanisms.
And I sparked your love as well. I mean, you like a bit of worker placement.
It's not that.
Ooh.
I will rephrase. It sparked the love. It triggered the beginning of a spate of games that use this mechanism.
Yeah, but I don't know which one it will be. If it is what I think it is, is it one of the West Kingdom games?
Is not.
Oh,
the West Kingdom.
okay.
It's not. So it's not. It's not a mechanism.
This is the world's
that
worst
I-
game.
is-
I'm floundering here, Luke.
Ross, this is not the world's worst game. This is number 34
Oh, right, yeah,
games
sorry,
of waste
yeah.
all time.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in you because you've introduced this game to me. And
What,
you haven't.
at this point, how many? What is that count of games that I've introduced to you?
I mean, there's so many. It's not a game that you own though, but it's a game it's a game you've played a lot of before you moved up to the Midlands.
Mysterium?
No, not that one. It's considered the father of all games of its sort.
Jesus Christ, man, you're stressing me out. You are talking about a game
I am.
that begins with
that game-
the letter
It's Dominion,
Oh, Dominion. Yes.
the grandfather of all deck.
Yeah,
builder
you're
games,
right. Actually,
where-
that's a great shout. You know what? Your clues make perfect sense now, Luke. Only a moron wouldn't get them.
Yeah. Just editor me is now putting a moron arrow just at Ross. No, it's fine. Probably not. Yeah, Dominion, the second edition deck builder game, where you are just basically you just get a bunch of different cards, you put them into a market, and then you just shuffle up and see how it goes. It's a deck builder. It's the original deck builder. I think is the key thing here. There are other deck builders that have got better themes because let's be honest, Dominion has no theme. Let's be honest.
Much, yeah.
The expansions probably have got some theme, and I probably do need to try some of the expansions. I probably need to play my copy.
I think
of
there's
Dominion
like
more.
6 of them as well, isn't there? There's so many of them for us.
Well, that's just at second. That's just the second edition. 'Cause
Yeah.
There's all the original ones, and then there's like second edition upgrade packs
Yeah.
that can let you mix them in. So it's a whole thing. But excuse me. Yeah, Dominion. It's just a solid game.
Yeah.
Like it's really good to just get out and just go. Here's what I'm introducing you to. We're going to play like Marvel Legendary later. I'll introduce you to Dominion because this is how it sets you up for playing that game and another one. Which actually I found out with Laura. I introduced her to Legendary first, and then we played Dominion. She understood Dominion. We went back to playing Legendary. She liked
Makes sense.
Legendary that time.
Yeah.
So now she understood how the game works.
I played a lot of this. Well, say before I moved up to where I am now, but that was like 10 years ago now, which is probably why I was failing to give you an answer. I played a lot of Dominion, and I really like Dominion. I really like deck builders, and actually, I find that that deck builders don't always get delivered the way that I want to, and usually it's theme based, and I haven't found the theme yet for a deck builder. I'm like, yes, this is my deck builder basically, and I like Dominion because, like you say, it's like the base level of what you can get, and it's like the original one, but it's not something that's really like grabbed me. I mean, as we've already mentioned, I'm all about the theme.
Yeah, I mean, it's because I think there's games like Great Western Trails, which is a deck builder with a rondel.
Yes.
There's Viscounts of the West Kingdom, which is a deck builder with other stuff.
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of games which have deck builder as an element, but Dominion just has the pure, uncut deck builder built in, and that's it. That's all it does.
The only other one which is kinda as close, and I feel a bit silly saying this, but is Hogwarts Battle. What's it actually called? Oh, actually, it's called Hogwarts.
Yes,
Battle.
I know what you mean.
It is actually called Hogwarts Battle. I felt like that was not the name, and I was making that up, but that is the name of that game. Which obviously has like the Hogwarts theme on top of it, but it is just a deck builder. Really, there's not any other. I guess there's kind of like you're co-oping against something, but that's probably about as close as it gets. But I don't mind. I don't mind Hogwarts. I don't mind Harry Potter universe, but I'm not like a fan. So again. I've not found one which is like stuck with me yet.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, that's my 34 Dominion.
Cool. I forgot I hadn't even talked about my game. We were on that one so long because it is a good game. For me,
because you floundered.
Yeah, it's for me, and actually it's kind of in a similar vein for me personally around like when I was playing games and that kind of that era, I guess, of my gaming life. And it's a Race for the Galaxy. Which I should have actually. What I should have done was made you try to guess what I was going to do and try to give you clues just to throw it back.
We'll do it for the next one.
Okay, I'm going to. Yeah, sure. I'll try my best.
Oh no!
Look to the next game. So
maybe not the next one.
Yeah. So Race to the Galaxy. How do you describe this? Tableau building again. You're a series of actions. You pick an action. You do the better version of it. Everyone else gets to do usually a weaker version of that action. You're racing through the galaxy, and you're basically there's different planets you can put down and developments and these other bits. And you're trying to score the most points. I tell you, it's really silly because it's luck based, and I don't love a luck thing really. But I really love this game because I seem to have really fortunate luck that I'll pick some obscure strategy like building all of the alien worlds, for example, and then I will draw the development card, which gives you bonus points for alien worlds, and that would happen almost every time I play, no matter what strategy I go for. The beautiful 6-cost development card will appear in my hand, and it'll be like I draw one card and it's just there, and I'm like, it's done it again. The Race for the Galaxy gods have answered my prayers and rescued this for me. So it's a really good game.
And it was the first one you and I played on Board Game Arena.
Yes, it was. Yes,
it was when we played it at the very, very beginning of lockdown. And then we forgot Board Game Arena existed for another year and a half.
Yeah.
And now look at us.
Yeah.
It was a whole thing. Interesting. Yeah. I like Race to the Galaxy. It's a nice little tableau builder.
Yeah.
I do think I prefer Roll for the Galaxy a little better.
Yeah.
But I've never played that physically. So, but you're right. It's interesting that you say that about the luck because you aren't a luck.
I hate
gamer,
luck-based gaming, basically, which is
which is silly. But there you go. A lot of games got luck in, but there you go. Hey ho, that's the thing.
Or limitation. Right, luck limitation, I think, is the sweet spot.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's 34. Let's see what's at 33.
Right.
33.
We're in with my 33. So here we go, Luke. I'm literally on Board Game Geek. I'm going to read out all of the mechanisms that are in this game, and then you are going to
Okay.
try guess the game. Now, I give you.
Now, here's the thing. Have I played this game?
You have played this
do you
game.
think?
You
Okay.
definitely have played this game.
Okay.
I don't think you've played it physically though. Here you go. So here's some clues, and I don't own it.
Okay.
Okay. Right, we got automatic resource growth, dice rolling, grid coverage, income, push your luck. You can play it solo, tile placement, turn order, pass order, and worker placement. Can you figure out?
Automatic resource generation.
I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be an easy one. It is.
Dice.
It is a. The designer is kind of a bit infamous, I guess. Is probably the way to put it.
How so?
For being them, I think is is probably the for you. Okay, this is going to be probably too big of a clue, but for your family starving, I think is probably the clue there.
Oh, is this Agricola?
No, but it's almost it's.
Caverna?
Oh no, you gotta keep going.
Oh, it is a Uwe Rosenberg game.
It is, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, Feast for Odin?
It is Feast for Odin.
Ah, okay.
Got in, yeah.
Not on my 50.
Oh,
not
is
on
it
my
not?
50 at
Interesting.
all.
Okay.
No.
So, yes. So, how do you explain this game? Boy, I don't even know because I don't know what I'm doing half the time I'm playing it. But essentially,
Nope.
you are worker placement. You're picking a bunch of actions by putting your workers on there. Some of them costing more workers to do a more powerful thing. In return, you usually receive or pay goods to then upgrade those goods, so then you can put them on your board and then complete your board and try to score points. But what you're trying to do is you can only move almost in like blocks, square blocks essentially, so you can't chase on your grid, you can't chase and flatten out, you have to like carefully structure out. You can explore islands and stuff and other buildings and just keep giving yourself more and more negative points and then slowly cry because you can't figure out how to make this beautiful engine that should work. Yeah, good game. It's just I don't know the strategy, and I can know it. I can play it, which is in fact this is a credit to the game. Is I can do enough to feel like I'm doing something, even though I definitely know I'm not playing optimally.
That's fair. Yeah, it's a big worker placement game where you've got all those different action spots that take 1 worker, 2 worker, 3 worker, 4. You have to make sure you're feeding your people at the end of each round. You've got all that exploration. You've got so many different paths you can go down. You can literally play the same game multiple times and not play the same game.
Yes.
There's a whole host of different stuff in there, which is interesting. I like it. It's a good game. I think I talked about this when I did my 10 games I would play digitally.
Yes.
I don't think I ever want to play it physically. I probably should play it physically. I probably would really enjoy it physically.
Only if someone sets it up before you arrive, though.
Yes, if someone else has done the setup, or if they have like a folded space insert where like this is where all the stuff is. It's like, oh, okay, I don't have to. Cool, I just do this.
I tell you one benefit of playing physically that it does wind me up on the digital is you can upgrade your items, and essentially upgrading items just flips them to the other side, so you can have green to blue.
Yes.
And when you're playing digitally, it's even though they're the same sort of like 3x3 or whatever, it would be much easier if you could just literally be like, what's on the other side of this to make it worthwhile. Whether I get the green version,
it goes orange to red, red to green, green to blue.
Yes. But like one thing will be like whale bones, then the next one will be like silverware. Those are just 2 random items. That's not the proper path. But then you flip over one to the other, and it would just be easier physically. I guess is kind of where I'm going with that, because you know what you're flipping in order to get it. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's good implementation on BGA. I think is probably the key thing on there. That really helps it. Okay, my number 33 is a game that you haven't played, so I'm not going to bother trying to make you guess it.
Sure.
It is a game that answers the question of what if aliens were the ones who came here first and they helped us build civilization. Origins First Builder is the game. It's another
unknown for me completely.
Yeah. But what it is it is a dice worker placement game where you are going to be building out. You have these different color worker dice and your own archons that are going to different spots, and you put the dice in on this sort of row where the different actions are, gathering resources or progressing on different tracks and such. Yeah. But as you go there, the mothership that is above them rotates one space. So the value of die you need to do the action increases.
Right, okay.
Makes it a little bit harder. But every time you use that worker, when they come back to you, they will go up a pip value. So your dice will get stronger and stronger. After a while, they'll then be promoted to the power of your Archon, which is your sort of standee figure, who will then become the multiple colours that they are being promoted to. So there's all sorts of different things, different paths you can go down, as well as building out a village of buildings.
Yeah.
You can put the dice into the buildings to trigger the buildings of the same colours abilities. And you've got sort of like different architect bonuses of if you get a certain configuration of buildings completed in the right districts. It's a good, crunchy game, I think. It looks very nice, which is also particularly helpful. There's a lot of good decisions to be made into it, and it's just good fun. I just like it. I think it's neat. But yeah, it's one I'll have to play with you at some point. It's up there with like Core Rising of an Empire. It's like a game I think you would enjoy. Yeah. Because it's the weight level that you want.
Okay.
Which I think is the main thing. But yeah, so we'll give that a go. We will make sure we have game days.
Yes, we do
play. So yeah, that's my 33. Let's go to 32. So my 32, I think, is going to get a reaction from you.
Okay.
Because I know that your love for this game has dwindled in the not too near past.
Yeah.
It's a game used to introduce people to the hobby. Placing tiles. Introducing people to meeples.
Placing meeples, yeah.
And just connecting stuff to other stuff of the same type. Carcassonne is the game that is at 32 for me.
That's one I could have guessed, I think, based on your initial descriptions. Yeah.
I mean, yes. Just based on the fact that it's a game that you have fallen a little bit away from. Yeah. Which is a shame, because I do think Carcassonne is a good classic base game. That has a lot going for it. I think it probably does have a little bit to do with that luck thing.
Yeah, maybe.
A few.
Yeah.
Which can be a bit of an issue for you. But essentially, you're taking the tiles, you're placing it out, and you're connecting like with like, trying to build cities, connecting roads, build into farms, and just trying to build out different stuff in that city. It's just a nice game if I want to turn my brain off for a little while. Yeah. Or if I want to, I've got the Carcassonne app that I can just play for like 5 minutes in between meetings, and I can just knock a game out against an AI, and I don't have to think about it. There's so many different variants as well that you can try that do different stuff, which is always quite nice. Like the Hunters and Gatherers has got quite a nice theme to it. But this is base Carcassonne that I'm thinking of. There are some expansions. Some of the expansions are better than others, I'll be honest. I've played a game where people played with the 3rd expansion, which has the fairy and the dragon.
Yeah.
But they added that expansion in without knowing what it did. So when they played it, they're just like, what the hell is this dragon? What's it doing? And then I was the only one who knew what the dragon did, so I just moved it into positions that were problematic for them. In a way of, like, well, I've explained how this works, but also it's not helping you deal with it particularly well. So I'm just going to nom your meeples. So it does have that little element of it, but I think the expansion we got the 5th expansion, which is pretty good. Just adds a little bit extra to it. So the different expansions add different things. So
it's the game that's probably creeping closer and closer to my chopping block, I think, of things that I would sell. The only reason why I think it probably will stick around is basically what you said, which is it's kind of one of those classic games that you can introduce people who don't really know board games, and it is quite simple and stuff.
Yeah.
And in fact, without again having to jump one step ahead, my 31 I think would be my new answer to everything you said. Basically, I think it would be my newer game, which is the better Carcassonne, I would say.
Okay. So we'll get to that in just a minute.
Let's pin that one for now. So my 32 is Isle of Cats Draw and Explore. So
explore and draw, nice.
Yeah, so I mean, boat cats, draw them on. A much better version, I think, much better version of Isle of Cats than the base.
I agree.
It has, in the same way, in fact, in the same way that I was talking about Islebound earlier, and I was saying it does too much of everything a little bit and just needs to do one thing better. This is what Isle of Cats does, basically. It just does a good, flip and right, I guess. Grid and right, row and right. I don't know what column and right. I don't really know whichever one. Card and right. I don't know what these things are now anymore. But yeah,
you've taken out the market step and the drafting step that goes with the Isle of Cats, and it's taken it down to the polyomino tessellation. Fit these things into a boat and try and make the families as big as you can, which is the bare essence of that game.
Yes.
But it's the thing that's the nicest about it. And then it's got, instead of having to worry about your fish economy and having to worry about how many boats and stuff, and how many
hate drafting people and everything.
Baskets.
Yeah.
It just goes, here are some options. There's this row, there's this column, there's you can take this row, you can take this column. You could, if you want to, you can get this special ability that lets
gives
you
you a bit more flexibility
thing instead. Yeah. So it just, I think it's a much better version, personally. Yes. And I agree with you. It was my 50. So
yes, I was going to say, I think it was on your list.
Still on there
somewhere. Yeah.
So it is there. So yeah, it's a good one.
It is.
Nice. That is, I think, our first formal crossover.
Yes.
We had the partial one with Winter Kingdom and Kingdom World last time. This is our first actual one.
Yes, which is kind of crazy actually. I think we're nearly 20 games in. So.
40 games now.
Yes, in fact, yes.
Yeah, we haven't had that many crossovers, so there you go. So, will this last one be a crossover? I'm pretty certain it won't be. But here we go. Let's go to the last one on this list, number 31.
My 31. Here we go. And this is, again, just as a reminder very quickly, even though it only happened probably 30 seconds ago, this would be my new Carcassonne game, probably that I would think, is I'm going to butcher the name now. Oh my god, Acropolis. We're getting there. Acropolis.
Yes.
Need to take a breath for it. So, tile laying.
Yes.
But there's just, with no meeples this time, but there's just more, and this is probably where we're talking about the luck element being reduced, and this is probably why I like it so much, because you have options available to you and you're placing those tiles down, and if you want to go want to get a future tile, you have to pay a little bit of stone to get there, but you've got ways you can generate the stone by building on top of tiles you've previously built. You've got different types of districts, and you're trying to score points essentially by having I don't know what the terms they use are, but the ones with the stars on it and the ones without the stars on it, and you're trying to times your stars by your not stars. I'm explaining that terribly.
Markets or they each have their own different scoring conditions depending on where they are. The red military buildings want to be on the outside
but you only score for them if you put down other tiles which have the multiplier on them. That's probably the better phrase to use there.
Yes.
Anyway, so if anyone came to me and said, I want to play a quick, simple game where I can lay some tiles, I would suggest this, and I wouldn't suggest Carcassonne. I think Carcassonne just is this sounds really mean, but I'm going to say it anyway because I don't care. I think it's a bit of a relic now, to be honest with you. I think there was a time and a place for Carcassonne, and I think we've moved on from that as board games, and I think there's better out there now. I'm just saying.
I don't disagree with that sentiment that there are other games that do the same thing that Carcassonne does. I still think Carcassonne, I think that's specifically for you and I, though. For the level of games that we now play, there are other games. However, that doesn't mean I don't want to play Carcassonne still. I still enjoy Carcassonne. I've not gone to the point where I have outgrown it so much as I have with some other games. I think there are definitely games that do what Carcassonne did
Yes.
for the hobby
Yes.
better
Yes.
now. Like Catan is another one, which is
yeah.
absolute. Catan, Ticket to Ride, Carcassonne are sort of like the three that are always referred to as like the beginner games that brought a lot of people into the hobby where they are now.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably...
They're not...
I was going to say, it's probably the game on my shelf that is one of the oldest games I have. You know, we're probably talking like 12 years old or more, really. And it's probably, again, why I'm maybe a bit more jaded towards it, because I'm a bit like, sat here for this long and I've played it this many times that it's lost its shine a little bit, maybe. Sorry, you were saying something anyway.
No, it's just that those three games were instrumental of getting a lot of people who are probably watching this video and a lot of people who make board game content to where they are. I think if you're a new person coming into the hobby now, there's a lot of games that will create that foundation for you that are not necessarily better, but they don't.
I think smarter.
I think
just
potentially.
When I'm introducing someone to board games, I want them to, and I think everyone always says this a little bit, but I want them to forget about like Monopoly and stuff, and I want to say like, shake them a little bit, and be like, look at what a board game can be. Look how good that board games can be, and look at all the interesting things you can do. And when you explain Carcassonne, and I'm just like, you place a tile and you place a meeple, and you're trying to connect the same thing together. It just doesn't have like the same magic behind it that trying to explain another game. Like, we're going off. We should just record a whole video about Carcassonne at some point, apparently. But whereas like Acropolis, I'm gonna butcher that every time.
Yes, Acropolis
is almost like the theme's almost more like pasted on, because it doesn't really matter what's there, but there's just more behind it, right? And there's more strategy to it, but without it being heavy, I think is kind of where I'm going.
It is a very light game, and I think the other thing that you haven't mentioned is the element of height.
Yes.
Is also a factor in the scoring, which is a interesting aspect. You should get that 3D puzzle game, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I don't disagree that there are games that probably you could use to introduce people to now, and I think that was something we did talk about doing a video on at some point, which I think we do need to get to.
Yes.
As sort of our intro games, so maybe a bit spoiler for that. Yeah. My 31 could probably be described in a single word, and that word is wine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It is viticulture. Yep. So the worker placement game that you are basically going out, getting grapes, building buildings in your vineyard. You're running your vineyard, and you're just trying to fulfill wine orders, build your grapes, build your wines, put it in your cellar, mature it, sell it on, do the best you can, and sort of do as much as you can. I think it's dropped on my list ever so slightly. I think it's just because another game has come in and has pushed it down slightly. I haven't played it for a little while. I probably should get back into it. But with things like the Tuscany expansion and the Viticulture World cooperative expansion, I need to delve into those worlds a bit more, because I've only really played the base game. And those two expansions are really intriguing to me, even though I know full well that Viticulture World is hard. Like, it's so difficult. The intro scenario that was put into the box, they had to do a print and play version that was easier because that intro scenario was too hard. Which is fine. I don't mind a hard co-op game. I don't want necessarily an easy co-op game, because if you have an easy co-op game, what's the point? Like, if you don't get destroyed, you don't get destroyed by a co-op game every so often. Are you really playing a co-op game? So yeah, I just really like it. I think it's got a lot going for it, and it's got a lot of charm. I think even as someone who doesn't drink, the wine theme is just it's just nice. It's different. It's just a nice little game. It's solid. It's a solid worker placement game.
I don't disagree with anything you've just said then. Yeah, it's a solid game. It deserves to be really up, where it is on your list. And
I'm guessing by you saying that is it's not there on your list.
I can't remember. No, it is on my list. I think it's actually a little bit further up on my list, I think.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah, it just ticks all the boxes, doesn't it, really? And going a little bit back to what you're saying about, introducing people to the game. If I'm like, hey, you've played some board games, and hey, you like wine or this this kind of theme.
It's a unique theme.
It's very easy to be like, let's play this game, because that's what I'm always looking forward. I spend, less time now actually, but used to particularly spend so much of my time introducing people to board games that anytime there was something unique or different about a board game or a theme that I could then hook someone in to get them to try it out, then it was perfect, and Viticulture was that. Although my wife has the most irritating strategy ever, and I will forever mention this.
She does
every time she does
the windmill strategy.
Every time this game comes up, I will forever mention this, and it's so frustrating because I have played that game before and gone, what's the point? Because I'm producing wine and I'm losing this game. Where basically my wife will produce one bottle of wine and then do wine tasting tours for the entire game and then score a point and then basically just turn timer everyone out, basically puts an end time on it, and then we'll just snipe the victory basically. Meanwhile, I'm creating a beautiful engine that produces beautiful wine, and by the end of the game lose basically. And a little bit I'm like, what's the point? But that's, I've got to be more efficient, and that's the way she's figured out how to win, and and all that sort of stuff. So
that's what's fun for it. What I think what does do this game really well is you can see the logical steps to get to from nothing to wine and selling, and the reputation that comes with it. So you've got the plant grapes in the field, pick grapes, turn grapes into wine, mature wine, sell wine. Wine then becomes revenue that is ongoing and reputational, and because you've made that wine, people are coming back to you, you're getting your revenue from it, and you're using that to reinvest and keep things going. And then year after year, you're still doing the stuff, and it's just solid.
I'm going to be very bold and throw out what I think would, completely unsolicited advice on what I think would make this game better, or what they should have removed from it to make it more refined, are the summer and winter visitor cards. Because because I think it doesn't really add anything to the game other than this is going to make it sound like I hate luck and stuff, but no, it's not even luck. It just adds randomization into the game, but not in a good way. I think it just seems to be like,
I think it does suffer from if you get bad cards, and there are situationally bad cards in that game. Don't get me wrong, there are situationally bad cards. Then you can feel very disillusioned about it, and just like, oh, that's terrible. If someone gets I can gain money and sell a wine and do all these from this one action kind of thing. Whereas I know that I've started playing with a house rule, which was introduced by Matthew Jude, talking about on various different things. You can go see him on This Game is Broken, watch it played, all sorts of stuff. Where whenever you will draw a card, draw one more card and discard. Depending on whichever one is more beneficial, because that happens with the wine as well. Because that is a real. That's a thing that does happen with grapes. Like, you draw grapes, and you've got I've got these wine orders. Great. Okay, this is what I need to go for. I need red grapes. Cool. 3 whites. Well,
it doesn't help you.
Guess I'm gonna have to do that again next turn, and then you still don't get it, and that's frustrating.
In fact, I'm going to go one step further on my unsolicited game device suggestion. No, but just or if you were to have those cards, that actually, but it's more of it has more of an engine building focus around it, right? Where the permanent, less powerful but permanent effects ongoing, and so you feel like you're actually more like customizing like a vineyard with specialists coming in and helping you do that, rather than just like a one-off random bonus that happens. That's
There are elements of that in the Tuscany expansion.
Maybe that's the trick then.
Where you can do things like that, which we haven't played with yet. To be fair, you and I haven't played with, so we need to give that a go at some point. But yeah, so that is our
that
list
is.
of games from 40 to 31. That is an interesting list.
With some tangents.
With a lot of tangents that I may edit around. Who knows? We'll find out. But that has been our that latest 10, so we'll see where we go in the next one. Check in for the next 10 videos that we're going to put into this list, going from 30 to 21. If you like this video, you want to see more, give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up, comment. Let us know what your 10 games are that fit in this section of the list.
Or if you don't
do the thing that Ross is about to say.
Don't like this video, then also still give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, because maybe our next video will be better.
And it might be games that you like.
Yeah.
Who knows? We've been talking about games, and we don't mind if you just tell us that we're wrong. That's fine.
No,
These are all subjective lists.
They are.
We've come across a whole host of different
There's
games.
probably games I've forgotten. To be fair, we've not reached the top yet. Like I say, it's going to be it's basically, to be honest, this is the juicy stuff's coming. I think some of the juicier stuff's coming.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We got some fun stuff coming.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. All right. Until then, thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.